Stop talking. Thank you all for coming. We're going to get started. I don't know what time it is. Elizabeth says it's time to go, so that means it's time to go. We're going to start this. We appreciate you coming. There are some empty tables, so if you want to move forward, you can. Okay. Not you, Karen. We need you as far away from the podium as possible. I'd like to introduce to you today our Superintendent of Schools, which is a proud graduate of Alva High School, Tim Argo.
You know, I thought Todd and I were friends. I did not graduate from Alva High School. So thank you. Maybe we can meet and get to know each other.
We claim
Todd. Yes. What a crowd. What an event. It is great to see everyone here today and to celebrate the legacies that our distinguished Goldbugs have left for us. I want to start by thanking the Foundation Board and Mrs. Ritchie. Mrs. Ritchie is second to none. A wonderful leader. So thankful for her and her leadership and her patience with me, usually on a daily or weekly basis. But she just does a magnificent job, and the proof of it is right here. So thank you, Mrs. Ritchie. This is a great day for our school and our community to have this banquet, for you all to be here. I mentioned it earlier today, the time you spent with our high school students, how impactful that has been and will be to them. Those conversations that you shared with them today and that time that you spent, I can assure you, is meaningful to those kids, and they will talk about it through the rest of the year. From kindergarten to 8th grade, Todd, I was raised here and was lucky enough to attend Alva Public Schools. And with teachers like the Jacobettes, Miss Jones, Miss Snyder, Miss Sherman, Coach Campbell, Coach Heaton, I can just keep going on and on. That impacted my life, taught me grit, determination, excellence, what our Goldbug symbolizes. And so thankful for those experiences. And I want the distinguished Goldbugs to know today that what you've done is enhance that legacy. The time you've spent today with our young people and spoke to them about your life experiences just adds to what our public school system brings to kids every day. And so thank you again for that. You know, it's a great day whenever we get to spend our time together. We realize that through the last couple of years, not being able to maybe have the attendance that we would have liked at these banquets and limiting basketball games and football games. And it's a real blessing to get to look out here and see you all together. So I hope you enjoy this time. I welcome you. I'm glad you're back, and welcome home. Thank you.
we're just proud. We don't really know if you did graduate high school. We're going to give you it out, but we'll check the diploma transcript later. Renee is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody please stand.
I'm sorry.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tim's going to lead us in God Bless America now, Tim. Mr. Argo. Please have a seat, and Elizabeth Ritchie is going to have the invocation.
Bow with me, please. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, a day to celebrate such amazing Goldbugs. Thank you for blessing this community. Bless this food to its intended purpose, and bless the rest of this day. We'll give you all the praise in your most precious name. Amen. Amen.
On your mark, get set, eat. So you have 4.5 minutes to eat, and then we're going to start the program. So you will not be kidding. We're 45 minutes each. There will be no one left. You can try, Trudy. I'm sure you would.
It's 5.
Please continue to eat, and I will babble for just a brief moment, and then we will start. So today's events are already over, because what you did this morning, talking to the students at Alva High School, is the event. Tim spoke about that briefly, but if there is something that is definitely needed today, it's inspiration for kids that are going from junior high to high school. They need to know what's out there. They need to understand the reason that they're in education or why they're being educated. And then they need to have some kind of goal. What you did this morning was share some goals with them. Even though you may not have felt like you did, you may not have felt like that they paid attention or that they even cared. I guarantee you they did. And as Mr. Argo has stated earlier, they will remember those words, even though it didn't look like they were paying attention. Before we start, we would like to recognize our student ambassadors who have done a phenomenal job. Right? Would you all stand, please, the student ambassadors? For those of you who didn't get food, that was by design, so too bad. I want to also recognize our Alva Board of Education, those members that are here. Would you please stand? And then I would like to recognize the members of the committee and the group that put this all together, the Alva Educational Foundation. Would those members please? Those are the people you need to be looking out for. They'll have a pledge card and be looking for your checkbook before you walk out the door, so stay away from them. I would be remiss if I didn't highlight Elizabeth Ritchie, who spends countless hours on this and many other events. She lives and breathes Alva Educational Foundation, which just this year, and I hope I'm not stealing anybody's thunder, has plummeted over the top of $1 million, if I'm not mistaken. It is about growth, but it's more about getting dollars back into the education system so that the teachers that are here can educate better. So they give an enormous amount of mini grants, an enormous amount of funding that goes behind the scenes back into education, just to aid in giving those kids a little bit of extra something. Giving Alva High School and all of Alva Public Schools a little bit of extra edge, which is something we're used to for a long, long time. Thank you for all those people that serve without pay, tirelessly, except for you, Karen. Okay, so we're going to start now. Just so you know, later on there are some exciting things that are going to happen. The student ambassadors are going to recite the pledge that's on the side of the new gymnasium by memory. And so I know they're looking forward to that. What they don't know is I have a $100 bill. Anybody can do that? So there may be some people leaving the building. Our first recipient today, who has the first 45-minute speech, is Trudy Wheeler. So A little bit of research back through yearbooks tells me that she might have been student co-president. She might have been a buggette. Student ambassadors, do we know what a buggette is? See these people after this before. She might have run the hurdles, and she might have thrown a baton. I'd like to bring to the podium Trudy Wheeler.
It's a great day to be in Goldbug country, right? And Ron, thank you for that very gracious and generous introduction that you did there. Yes, and I did all those things. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for remembering that. I'd also like to thank the foundation for this honor that many of us are receiving today, and thank you for that and bringing us together. I am very humbled to be in the same room with these other people that are winning this award. Some of my classmates are, a year ahead, a year behind, but I am just humbled to be with them. And to see what they have done in their communities and the mark that they have made on their communities, and thus the great accolades that they have brought to our community of Alva, Oklahoma, far and wide. So thank you to all of the other honorees today for doing what you do in your communities and where you are and all the different places that you're working. When I was competing in Miss Oklahoma, one year I had the honor of being the carpool buddy with Susan Powell. And Susan Powell went on that year to win Miss Oklahoma and then went on to win Miss America. And in her opening speeches, we always had to do these introduction speeches on stage, she said this. She would always say this little thing. She'd say, the epitome of success is doing something that you love and being paid for it. And then she would add this tagline, I simply love singing. Now all I have to do is find someone to pay me for it. I simply love theater. I love every aspect of theater. I love acting, I love directing, I love technical, and I love that educational component that made me feel so great about myself is bringing other young students to theater. So I believe that I have become a success because I got to do what I loved. Now, what I loved got cultivated here in Alva. And I can tell you that my first really introduction to this was probably the Christmas pageant when I was in 3rd grade at Washington, and Mrs. Van Pelt was my teacher. And I just saw some smiles, okay? And just a side story. When I go visit my great-grandparents' grave, her grave is a little ways away, and I always take a little flower and put on Mrs. Van Pelt's. But I digress. Okay, so I was in the Christmas pageant, and to let you know the impact that teacher had on me, I can still recite that poem that I had to say when I was in 3rd grade on the stage. Not had to say, but got the opportunity to say. So for your entertainment and enjoyment, I will recite my 3rd grade poem. I am the spirit of Christmas love. I am the star on high. I am the one who brought the world from out of the midnight sky. In me you see the hope of men, the peace for which they pray. I am the spirit of Christmas love. My name is Christmas Day. The love and guidance of our teachers here in Alva, and my teachers, are some of the reasons why I love what I do, whether it's sports or whether it's theater. So the list of teachers are long, so I'll just throw out some names and maybe I'll see some more smiles along the way. Derwin Brown, athletics when I was at Washington. Okay. Ira Dale Campbell in science. I was not his favorite student. Mrs. Campbell, Kay Campbell in high school in girls PE. Mrs. McCready, who was my first grade teacher, who was my brother's first grade teacher, who was my father's first grade teacher. You know, it's a small town, right? Okay. And then I mentioned Mrs. Van Pelt. I would like to throw out accolades to anyone who taught me English. They taught me to read a book and to love a story. And so that good story, I think, made me be a better theater educator. And knowing that all of these educators who went before me, they probably lived by some kind of a creed or a mantra that they kept going in their mind. But nowadays, I know in the school that I used to teach, just my most recent teaching stint, a lot of us had these little signs hanging in our rooms, or mine was hidden someplace where I could see it, but my students couldn't see it. But this is what it is. It's children may not remember what you taught them, but they will remember how you made them feel. And when I left, I graduated Alva High in 75. When I left Alva High, the day after graduation, I felt confident and very strong and proud and knew that I could go off and face the world. I was going to a job the day after graduation to Silver Dollar City to work, and Joy Meyer was riding in a car right behind me or beside me or whatever. We were both going there. And I can't speak for you, Joy, but I think we just felt confident that we could conquer the world because of the way we had been trained and brought up and taught here. Either that or our parents were really crazy letting their 18-year-old daughters go work in Missouri for the summer. But anyway, I do want to thank everyone who has supported the Goldbug Education Foundation. Many of you giving your time and your talent, and many of you opening your pocketbooks. That opening of pocketbooks, giving time and talent, has left a legacy for many of us in this room. But it is also building a legacy for those Goldbugs who will graduate down the road. Thank you for everyone who has given to the foundation. Okay, I'll close with this really short story. I'm keeping it under 5 minutes, Todd. When I was directing a multi-generational play, one of the youngest members of the cast came up to me and said that he had come up with some rules to help him memorize his lines and to be a better actor, because not all of the older people were that great of an example for him. So he came up with these rules and he shared them with me. Little did I know that as I moved down the road and I took his rules, his name was Roman, I took his rules and I applied them and taught them to every actor, professional or student or community theater that I came in contact with. This young man in elementary school came up with these rules. I'm going to say them for you, and I think they're great rules for life. They're great rules for education. And like I said, I would say them to my cast and they would repeat them after me, and then we would move on and go on to the stage. So these are the rules that I want you to hold in your heart and know that are a strong teaching tool. I believe in myself. I will choose the best way. If that way doesn't work, I'll choose another. I believe in myself. And then at the end of that, I would say, have a great show. And we would all go out onto the stage. So, Goldbugs, have a great game tonight. Foundation members, I hope you have a great year of fundraising, and thank you so much for this honor.
Great speech. Trudy, if you could come back up, we're going to medal you. Dr. Peggy Wisdom is going to medal you. And as she's coming, we will tell you that almost everybody that gets medaled today is being medaled by somebody who is a distinguished Goldbug. So that's kind of cool, right? So we have some gifts, and you're going to have to
In front of this,
hand
yes.
this to you. And then we have some parting.
There we go.
Okay, and then afterwards, we won't make you tote all this stuff, but we have a nice bag of goodies for you, and this most wonderful 2-ton yard sign that is not being sold, that you can only obtain if you're a distinguished Goldbug, right?
Yay!
So you can spread the love wherever you might live, and they'll ask you, what's a Goldbug? That's right.
They do ask me that sometimes. Thank you.
Okay, I forgot my notes. So our next recipient actually needs no introduction. one of the most fabulous theater training people that we have in the state of Oklahoma. Never comes home with anything but a first in anything that he does. He's a playwright. He's a magnificent makeup and artist. He is theater through and through. Jason Paris.
Thanks, Todd. Do we all get one of these? The
It
signs?
depends on the speech.
Because I can't wait to put that in the Cherokee High School yard. I'll be fired by Tuesday, but it's okay. Thank you very much for this award. I don't know what I was expecting. I didn't really know what this was, but coming in and seeing like all of these former teachers has been, I don't want to use the word traumatic, but it does feel like it's amazing because I feel like a high school kid just trying not to get caught. Like that's how I feel right now. That Mrs. Kane's back there, Mrs. Cummings, I saw Dr. Holder, the real Dr. Holder, Lisa. She gave me my first D. I earned it. I earned my first D in her class, the first of many. So it was a good experience. I saw Mrs. Ernest as I was walking. This is just bizarre to me. It's a really cool and exciting moment. And when I think about my experience at Alva High School, it feels like I went to high school in like this golden age. Because I remember like Nelson Myers teaching world history as a sophomore, and then as a senior, I took the class again. I did fine in his class. I didn't have to, but it was just so cool to watch him sit on his desk and just tell you everything that happened ever. Right? Like it was amazing. Mike Bellini was there, and I swear to you, if you need to go to the doctor, he should have been the first call, and he'll tell you what to tell the doctor, because he knew how the body worked. It was amazing. I was at Alva High School, right? I think like at the peak of the strength of people like Charlene Broad in speech and debate and theater, and Ramona Cummings in choir and show choir, and to this day, like those two, like I sort of became them, and to this day, when I'm working with students, I will hear them say things through me. It's like I'm possessed. And if you know those two, they're very different people. So to have them both in your head at the same time, it's a little schizophrenic. But the kids have been fine. They handled it. Once I had a football player come in, and he was just very angry with his coach because the coach was being very demanding and very strict and holding them to this really high standard. And he was complaining. And I was like, you didn't have my choir teacher. And he laughed at me, choir teacher, right? And I was like, you didn't know her. She will whip you into shape right now. But it occurs to me that I didn't go to high school during the golden age. If you talk to any of the recipients here, I think they think the same thing about their teachers and who they had when they were in high school. And I think that says a lot about the community and about the school and the culture and the heritage. Like it's always been a symbol of excellence and a really incredible place to get an education and go to school. So I am profoundly and eternally grateful to my teachers and to the foundation for this award, and I think that's all I have. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So speaking of getting whipped into shape, Ramona Cummings.
I'm in trouble. I have detention.
Where they can get a good pick.
Gosh. I don't know what to do. Thank you very much.
So every year we have this event, and I try to get out of being the MC because I'm so bad at it. And so that's what I'm continuing to try to do this year. But the The problem that I have with it is, in case you haven't read your program and you haven't had time because you've been eating, but you need to take it home and you need to read it. Because the credentials that are in this folder are absolutely amazing. The accomplishments that these people have made in their life is incredible. I think it's the best group we've ever had. For those of you in the past, I'm sorry I've not thrown you completely under the bus. This is the best group that we've ever had. And we're so humbled that there's so many cool people that come out of the Big Apple. David, you got your speech ready?
I'm going to win for sure.
I'd like to introduce to you Stretch Landreth. David Landreth.
Well, it's great to see all these Goldbugs and friends of Goldbugs, and I guess Principal Argo wants to be a Goldbug. I didn't even know there was a Goldbug Foundation until a year ago when my brother-in-law John Phelps was on it. But I'm honored to be here today. I thank the committee for that. I thank John Phelps for the nomination and my wife Janet for being here. I thank my high school buddies for obviously not telling the committee any stories about me from back in the day. I grew up here. I went to school at, even we started out at Horace Mann before Bruno remembers that one, before the new Lincoln School, then the old junior high, AHS, and then finally Northwestern. I thought back to some of the teachers that I had. Some of you all have heard some of their names. I was thinking of Mr. Knox, who got us into chemistry and physics, and Mr. Bellini, that got us into biology. Mr. Rock had 70, 80 kids packed in that band room downstairs underneath the stage. Even Mrs. Hughley taught us what I thought was a completely useless skill at the time, which was typing. Coach Jacobette, who provided me a nickname that even my dad started calling me. All of the schools and all of the teachers here pretty much provided me most of the education that I used to make any accomplishments I made. I think the group that's gathered here today and the past recipients are proof that Alva's a pretty great place to grow up and to have and to provide a pretty strong basis for future endeavors. And I think some of the students that I met this morning will be standing up here in the future with similar thoughts on their Goldbug experience. And I'm also happy to have lifelong Goldbug friends here and elsewhere. So again, thank you.
Well, okay. Mr. Mark Mcdaniel is going to do the honors today.
Ladder.
We'll get you one.
Thanks.
So did Alva High School ever have an orchestra?
It's a great bill.
Somebody in the audience wants to speak? Yes.
Yes, James Breakville.
And how big was the orchestra?
Small.
When did we transition from Bugettes to Glee Club or whatever was after Bugettes? Oh, come on!
77.
I think it was. Okay, fine. You guys Anybody recite the pledge yet? No? Do anybody know where it is listed? Well, so why the heck don't you know where it says? Have you ever read it? Okay. So the next recipient was a member of Stardusters. Is that right? Stardusters, was that it? No, maybe not. Was it Electric Gold? So Miss Lauren Heaton, and before she comes, I want to tell you that from what I can see, she was involved in Electric Gold speech, rodeo club, and track. Miss Lauren Heaton.
Thank you, Todd. And because I know who really runs this show, instead of believing your 45-minute talk, I spoke to the real boss, Liz, who said short and sweet. So that's where we're going off of today. I'm really honored to be here today. I'd also like to thank the foundation for this honor, as well as the other honorees, and of course my family who came here today to celebrate me as well. This morning, Mr. Argo and Todd said that speaking to the students this morning at the high school would have a real impact on them. And I'll get to a bit about that more later, but we spoke about goals and ambitions and everything, but shockingly, I got a lot of questions about living in London, England. So, after lived in London for almost 6 years, I got asked a lot about what the key differences were between London and Alva. And we could have gone into a long spiel, but that wasn't the purpose of the talk, so I kept it short. And I really highlighted the kind of 3 key factors. I didn't mention the third one to them, but I will to this group because they'll appreciate it. But the first 2 factors I mentioned was the work ethic that you learn and grow in a community of this size, in this type of community, and how I was raised on a farm and ranch. The second one was the sense of community, and being from Alva, having this phenomenal group of people in town back you and support you allows you to take risks and really put yourself out there in a lot bigger way than people who don't have that kind of support behind them. And the third one is the steak, because I do not have steak in England because it just doesn't compare. So work ethic, community, and steak. Main differences between London, England, and Alva. The work ethic, as I mentioned, I learned from growing on the farm and ranch. Thanks, Dad. I mentioned driving a tractor to the team today, and they all seemed a little confused. So I think any farmers out here who need more tractor drivers, high school, I think is where you need to go. But as they mentioned, they said we would have an impact on the kids today. And so for that, I actually wanted to call out the 3 educators and people in this hometown that have had the biggest impact on me. And coincidentally, after I realized it, they're almost all around the arts, which I think is really sad that they're not as big of a part of the schools around the country anymore, because actually when I spoke this morning, I asked the kids, what part of school do they feel the most genuinely themselves? And every single one of them mentioned either speech, choir, drama, the band. All of them were around the arts, and I just thought that really spoke volumes for what they do, and certainly where my 3 educators that had the biggest impact on me did. So this first part, anyone who knows me, especially my family, I am not a crier, but I'm going to get through this part without it. So the first person I wanted to highlight was, without any surprise to any of my family, is Jacobette. I simply would not be here today without her, period. She set in motion when I was 16 to travel abroad for the first time. From traveling abroad turned into study abroad, and a lifelong passion that ultimately led to me living abroad. And she's a dear friend who I cherish, and she is giving opportunities to these small town kids that they are not receiving anywhere else. So a thank you to Jacobette. Second is my English teacher, Mrs. Judy Shirley, who also nurtured my love of reading and storytelling, which I use in my career every single day, which I really appreciate. And then lastly, who I was so thrilled you're here today, was Mrs. Cummings, she was actually my teacher for the longest in the entire time I was at school. She was my teacher for 7 years, all the way from 6th grade choir through Electric Gold. And she gave me such a phenomenal outlet to channel my constant talking, outgoing personality, love of musicals, and really, there was parts of high school that I think were tough for everybody, and I had them as well, but I always felt safe and at home in the choir room. So I just wanted to thank those 3 educators for giving me such a phenomenal community and safety growing up. And I would just like to thank everyone as well today for this honor of being here. And I'm really proud to represent Alva all the way over in London, England. So thank you.
Miss Ramona, comment.
That works well.
Okay, you want to stand up a minute? You do, right? Stand up, sit down. You want more food? You want another plate of food? You want another dessert? Raise your hand, wave. We'll go outside and see if we can round something up. So for those of you who moved away and don't get back very often, Alva hasn't changed a lot. So I noticed that the vehicle that I was driving today, the license expired in 1986. It's not locked, and the keys are in it. That's part of the beauty of living in Smallville. And those of you who are still living in Alva understand that completely. Those that have left don't get that luxury. It is a luxury. Our crime rate is absolutely nothing, and we're super proud. We can leave our houses open and not worry about who's going to be there when we get back, unless they need to raid the refrigerator for whatever. So it's not often that we get to have somebody of distinction come to us, and especially somebody who might have played football on television for several times. It's a great honor to have Mr. Scott Case with us today.
Thank you so much. It's crazy being back here. I drove in yesterday. First, let me thank Miss Ritchie for her persistence on. She's been trying. This has been. And every time she calls me, she says, "We want you to be." And I'm okay. What's the date? And, well, that's Oklahoma, Texas. I always go to Dallas every year to do that, and my kids, so I can't do it. So thank you for your persistence, and I also. This will be the first education award that I've ever gotten. And I told my kids, I said, look, yeah, do as I say, not as I do, right? So, no, I'm so thankful to be able to grow up in a town like this. Yesterday when I was coming in and conjured up a bunch of unbelievable memories and got to visit with some friends last night, and names that you forget, and you just go back in time. And we were up there today at the high school, kind of walking around, and I knew, for some reason, I knew where the office was. I went there a couple times, but I knew where some of that stuff was, but it hadn't changed a lot, and it's a great feeling to be from a place like this. I'll just mention a few names because I don't want to I'll forget a bunch of people, but there's a couple guys that when I was growing up that I came here in second grade. Started playing football in some of you remember the little league guys were playing in the Rotary and the Lions, and you got drafted and you did all this stuff. There were some coaches, but when I got to junior high, I had Ira Dale Campbell, Troy O'Hare, Coach Jake is back here as well. And these guys poured into me toughness and grit and stuff that really, I was a kid that got to live my dream. Not a lot of kids are able to do that, and I really give a lot of credit to this place for really instilling in me a lot of toughness. I was back when I was probably 12 or 13, and Mr. Larry Glass is back here, and their family's dear to me. But he worked on his farm, which I think now they call it child labor, but it was something that molded me into who I am. And Larry came to us, I was probably 12 or 13, and he came to us and said, "This time you boys went into business on your own." And I don't even have hair under my arms. What do you know? So we went into hay hauling business, and every day, 12, 13, until I left town here, all summer we would haul hay and probably made me the man who I became, to be honest with you. So I want you all to know that I'm so proud to be from here. I want you to know that when I was able to fulfill some of my lifelong dreams, when I walked out on the field for Super Bowl 30, you were there. So I'm so thankful for this honor and the other honorees, and just thank you that y'all came, and I'm honored to be with the rest of these honorees. It's a great group of people, so thank you so much.
Okay, you're not done yet.
Yeah, I got the medal.
So I would invite Joy Glass to come, and we will have to have a step stool. So Ira Dale's name's been mentioned several times, and I think the only thing that he ever told me was to get your head out of your duffel bag and gosh old Friday, I think. There's that. We have one recipient today that was unable to come, so she sent her sister in place. So Judge Jackie was unable to come today, and we will make sure that we get her memorabilia in place. And if you know her or are friends with her or something, please thank her for her service, and don't forget to read. She was, of the things that I could figure out, she was in Science Club, Spanish Club, Y Teens. Who knows what a Y teen is? Don't think they do that anymore. And Who's Who. So please remember Jackie Duncan in her honor. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. The next one is a good friend of mine, and we're honored to have him home. He was involved from stem to stern on anything that represented trouble. He was there. Whether it was riding a bicycle across the state of Oklahoma or standing for a picture upside down on the skateboard.
That's enough time.
Yes, you know too much. Scott, thank you for not thanking all the theater teachers, the music teachers, the arts, if you will. I noticed you didn't mention one of those. Just saying. Where'd Todd go? Todd, come back. So he's saying he left the keys in his truck. I remember when I had the 58 Corvette and parked up there. I parked it up at school. Keys are in it, just like it's supposed to be. I came out from school. Where is the 58 Corvette, Todd? It was not where I left it, was it? Was it parked down here in front of the Rialto? Yes. Yes, that's the Todd you love. He only tells half the story. Yes, like everyone else, I'm honored to be here. Surprised to be here. Let me give you some observations maybe. First of all, why? Why are these outstanding individuals? And they are. And Todd already mentioned that all the ones up to this are kind of lessers. We know that. Where's Perkins? There he is. But why? Why are these tremendous talents, tremendous individuals who rise up, why did they come from here and how? So there's the question. So I'm out running this morning because that's something I do because I just do. And I'm thinking about the differences. I'm running up the hill to the high school. First of all, that's a dumb direction to run because uphill's always a dumb direction. But last week I was in Dublin getting to run. 2 weeks before that, I was in Madrid. And I'm thinking what an honor it is and how much fun it was to be here and be back home and get to see this and do this, and then contrast that to what I get to do on a daily basis, which is, and Trudy talked about, being able to do something you love and getting paid for it, and getting paid well for it is even better. And unlike theater, we have a bunk in the airplane. If you don't know, so I'm a pilot for American Airlines. We have a bunk in the airplane, and I'll go back there and I'll take a nap for 3 or 4 hours. We call it dozing for dollars. Even better. Even better. But the question comes back to why. Why are people from here? Because I'll tell you what, I'm not mentioning any names of teachers, not even coaches, because most of them are not going to give me favorable comments. And some of you are old enough to know, Jake's finally getting old enough, he's forgetting some of that stuff, and I'm so thankful for that. But it comes back to what's available here, and what you're doing right here and right now, what Elizabeth's doing, what Todd's doing, and trying to bring that to these kids. And that's why Lauren came from London to come do this. And Trudy came from Kentucky. Scott came from Georgia. And we all came because we care and it matters and we get it. And we love to get to come here and do this. And it's such an honor and such a privilege and such an honor to be with all of you. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
You don't get it until you get it.
What? I gave the speech.
Mr. Mike Perkins, so he may be strangling you.
You're the one who said it.
Instead of meddling your words.
Todd's words, I just repeated it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
There was a lot more that could have been said there, but we'll just trying to have a sec. So I have not done this, and we really need to. So would all of the past, not this year's, the past distinguished Goldbugs, please stand. What makes the event bigger and bigger, we're over 130 this year. This is the biggest event that we've ever had. We're about to outgrow our venue, so we're going to have to work on that. But that's part of the benefit, is being able to come home. And yes, John, people travel thousands of miles to get here. We appreciate that. The past ones traveled thousands of miles as well, so we'll expect to see you all back, Lauren, next year. The next young lady was a Y teen and also was in Spanish Club. There seems to be something about Spanish Club, and we don't really know whether they really love Spanish Club or they wanted to go to Mexico. So I don't really know. I did want to mention one other thing that happened on somebody in between, before Leanne comes up, is that as I was reading through all of the annuals, which took an enormous amount of time, because in case you don't know, it's 2 hours per annual, because you'll see something that sparks you to think about something, and it takes 30 minutes to move forward from that. I was just meandering through, and I noticed that Stuco had decided to put a stereo system in the bus for one of their projects for the year. I think that's pretty outstanding. Now they're DVDs or whatever it is. No. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Leanne Gladys, our next recipient. Thank you.
So Dave, I may have you beat on the shortest. So what an amazing day, and what a great event. I mean, I had no idea what to expect either, and I'm just overwhelmed. And I was telling somebody at my table, I think this is like the coolest cross-section of my past, or the village that raised us. So thank you all for being here, and I'm grateful to the Alva Goldbug Education Foundation for this great honor, and I'm truly humbled to be recognized by the people in the community that will always be my first home. Thank you. I also want to congratulate all my fellow honorees. As named in the humanitarian category, I think all of you honorees are humanitarians in my book, because you provide education, leadership, and service, all for the greater good. So congratulations to you all. And I want to thank Alva Public Schools and the faculty and the students for this warm reception today. It's just awesome. And I'd certainly like also, to thank my husband, Roger Gaddis. I've been very blessed to have a husband that not only supports and encourages me, but works tirelessly to run our financial planning business while I'm off spending most of my time doing things that don't pay the bills so well. So, thank you, Roger. I just, a couple things came to mind. My favorite quote, and probably by the greatest humanitarian that I've ever heard of or know of, and trust me, I am in no way comparing myself to Mother Theresa, but she once said, not all of us can do great things, but we all can do small things with great love. And so probably like most of you, through my life, I have looked for those small things to do that could help others, as I'm sure you all have. And in doing that, whether it's in my career as a financial planner, or as a wildlife commissioner, or just in my daily activities, I have found that giving is its own reward. It's kind of unusual to say that, but when we were children, we learned it's greater to give than to receive. And maybe as a very young child, you might not always understand that, but that's kind of how it's come full circle, and it's all explained in the doing. So there is no understanding of it except in the doing. And I thank you again, the foundation and the community, the educators and the friends and associates of the organization. Thank you for this honor. I am immensely humbled. Thank you.
Kevin Evans, would you please come forward? Kevin will not be needing a step stool. So our next recipient, who is no longer here, but there's no better substitute than his dear sweet wife to receive the award today. So when you say the word Kinsey in Alva, Oklahoma, it just goes hand in hand. Whether it's at church, whether it's education, whether it's business, whether it's worldwide business, whether it's teaching children to be workers, whether it's in the education and whether it's a startup company or if you just need something done. That's the family that you can get it. If you need a trailer, if you need something manufactured, if you need anything, you could always call that family and they would be there. This award is for Wayne and all of the many, many things that he donated towards Alva Public School. He was a graduate of 1950. He was in the orchestra and active in stuff that I can't even remember, obviously not, but that I couldn't tell you. He was active in everything, including he was a famous unicycle rider, and if you never saw him do that, it was absolutely amazing. Built his own, didn't buy one, he built his own. So it's with great honor that I would have Beverly come and receive this. As she's coming, I want you to know that she was on the very first board member of, one of the very first board members of the Alva Educational Foundation. A superintendent who is no longer with us called and said, we have a donation, we need a foundation, get it done. And she did. Beverly Kinsey.
Hello, I'm Theresa Kinsey Malzahn. I'm the favorite child. So on behalf of my mother Beverly and my brothers Paul, Mark, and Tim, I'm going to try not to cry, and myself, we thank you for this recognition of our father. My parents were wonderful examples of service above self. This has been shown through the years through countless examples of giving back to the schools by their support of all our extracurricular activities, employing kids in our business, and lending a helping hand for whoever needed anything. As Todd said, Mom and Dad were some of the founding members of this foundation, and to hear that it's over $1 million now is fantastic. And this has been great to see their vision grow to this. Dad believed in Alva, he believed in education, and he believed in work. So from our family of Goldbugs, we thank you all for this honor for our dad.
Dr. Janet Cunningham is going to do the honors. I didn't think I dropped anything. Did she say that you were the favorite child? Who said that?
Everybody knows it.
Almost there. Is the excitement building? You have no idea what's coming. It's going to be good. So the next recipient is Bud Nichols, who, how many people had either Bud or Maxine? So, probably the wrong time to bring it up, but my oldest sister celebrated her 72nd birthday this year, and she sends me a Bible that her great-grandmother had given her. And I said, oh gosh, Susie, that's sweet. And she said, Todd, she was hard. She said, you have no idea. She was a strong Christian, but she was hard. And I told her back, I said, so Susie, I think that is the definition of a teacher, is hard. Because if it's not hard, we're not going to learn. Bud was a little softer. Maxine was pretty tough, if anybody remembers. So this award is for Bud. You need to read about his accomplishments. Probably did more hours of tutoring after he retired than he taught. He tutored forever. There was a ton of kids that went to his house after school and tutored. He loved kids. He loved teaching. So here's a sales pitch. and it doesn't happen very often, but you need to know. So Bud and Maxine had no children. They had their Cocker Spaniel puppies, and they gave an enormous boost to this foundation because they believed in education. They believed in Alva, Oklahoma. It was their home. Alva, Oklahoma embraced them and gave them purpose. And so they, in turn, gave back to this foundation so that it could educate those in the future. I think that's a fabulous legacy and one you need to have. So please remember Bud and Maxine and for all they've done. Thank you. The next lady is a tireless... Let me rewind that. The next lady that is a recipient is a tireless educator. Educates still to this day. Beverly Little has been part of the Alva Public Schools for how many years?
41.
So as she's coming, I'll tell you this really quick story about her. So 25, 30 years ago, a man came to me and said, with a Sunday Oklahoman in his hand, and he had a black magic marker that he had put a circle around coats, hats, gloves, and shoes. And he said, Todd, there's a ton of kids in the Alva Public School that need coats, hats, gloves, and shoes. He said, I would like to give back to this community and make sure that every kid has a coat and a hat. How do we do that? And I said, oh, gee, that's easy. He said, well, what do you mean? He said, we call Beverly Little and ask her to instrument that, and she did. She took it hook, line, and sinker and took it from start to finish, and it's still going on today. That's a legacy. This lady has taught, and she's been an administrator and a fabulous asset to Alva Public Schools.
Thank you. Well, this is going to be really short and sweet, but I do see some of my former students and probably some of their grandparents too. But I just wanted to say thank you for everyone for this opportunity and for this award. It's really an honor to see another student over there. Hi, Joy. But I don't have any of the stories that I wanted to tell right now, but I just wanted to say thank you to you all. It has been a great 41 years and longer now, and Alva is a wonderful place, and Alva Public Schools, great school system. Thank you very much, Todd.
We couldn't figure out who was going to medal you, so we decided we'd ask your husband.
This is a
So I'll ask for you to come up here.
distinguished.
There you go.
I was not one of the students. I am now. And as far as coming a long ways, we come a block and a half across the square. So it was quite an effort for us.
Thank you.
So there's awards that who gave the best speech, so you can mark your ballots now and bring those in. We have one more speaker this afternoon before the festivities begin. I'd like to welcome to the podium Mr. Jeff Mcalpin, President of Alva Educational Foundation.
Yeah, and Todd, you did steal a little of my thunder, so just so you know, your check's going to be
A little less.
It's back. We'll have to take some out of it. Thank you, everybody. Just got a few things I want to share. First thing, it was Miss Kinsey that long ago started this foundation. Just so you know, I'm very humbled to be a part of it. This is a great thing. To show you how good it is, most of the 9 members that we have, what was it? Kai Flater and I were talking about this. I think this is our 3rd term. So we are staying on it because we do enjoy it, and it is something that is beneficial to everybody. Now, to give you an idea, yes, we reached our first million last December. I do believe that next year when we do this, we'll have even more good news to share with everybody that's still in the workings. But right now, we've got $940,000 that are invested. We have $47,000 that we can use. What this allows is $39,000 for scholarships for students, elementary and secondary mini grants of $5,500, and a technology grant of $2,500. We have 14 endowed scholarships for students. So we are doing quite well there. The other thing that is really exciting is that we've got mini grants that we give to the teachers, and for the last 5 years we've been able to give everyone that has applied a mini grant. That is thanks to this community, the people that come back as we see all these recipients that do, and that is phenomenal. We have different kind of things here. We've got Glowing for Goldbugs, a trap shoot, this event here that we do. We have Teachers and Rising Stars that we take part in, and then the students do a thank-a-thon where they will literally get on the phones, call all the people that have been members, that give money, and say thank you because they realize this is a great thing. So again, Beverly, thank you. Thank you to all the board members. Thank you to the past recipients for coming back. That was one of the things that when I was standing here and helping get the table set up as you all were filing in, the more people that filed in, the more I saw that people were returning. That in itself, again, is another great thing to see all past recipients be able to come back, honor the new recipients. So again, very happy and proud. Thank you to all the honorees. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. So there's a couple of things that I've left out that I need to talk about. So Bruce and Dixie Meyer are responsible for all of that memorabilia over there. If you haven't been there, you need to. But I don't think either one of them are here, but we do need to give them a round of applause. Tirelessly, year after year, they come and set that up, and it's not a small task, and they do that. And there's a great splattering of memorabilia that's there. I'm going to tell you one more small story, and then I'm going to let you rest a little bit. Approximately 1:30, there's going to be a ruckus, and we need you all to be in here for that, so don't leave. The class of 78, John Phelps, as a matter of fact, another one of those Phelps kids, said to me, Todd, we need to do something back for Alva Educational Foundation. We need to get something started with our own class. And he said, I don't really think that it's necessary that we raise a whole bunch of money and give to the foundation so that they can invest it. What I want to do is give something that gives immediate results. So our class, the class of 78, is gathering funds now to give a $2,500 donation to a teacher on an annual basis that we can go for a specific need. Right? Whether it's to buy a piece of equipment, whether it's to send them to an educational training board. It's not anything specific, it's what is needed. And it doesn't go to an endowment, it's not going to be invested, it's just cash to cash, use it now and enjoy it. And I think that's a great idea. That's something that Dr. K. Decker came up with a couple of years ago. I'm happy to see it come to fruition now, so that's just another opportunity. This is not an event for Todd to get up here and talk about raising money for Alva Education, but this is an event to come and honor the people that are here. But I would be remiss if I didn't make comments about what goes on at Alva Educational Foundation, right? That's the reason you get that. Thank you for your time, your patience with me. Mingle just a little bit and stay inside. So the Band of Gold and the cheerleaders are going to come in and we're going to sing the fight song and then we're going to be ready for the parade. Okay? So hang around. Thank you.